What's going on, everybody? Shut Up the King here, the one and only, here to bring you my review for The Walking Dead Season 3, Episode 5. This review will be a little different. There's a lot that happened. It was a solid episode. I'm just left very confused. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give a quick recap, and then I'm going to dive into my speculations and my thoughts on the episode in general. And then, of course, I'll ask for your opinions, just like I did last week. Alright, so this episode actually picks up at the governor's compound, as I'm going to start calling it. And Michonne is just growing increasingly suspicious. She's actually just moping around, looking around, trying to figure out, what's going on. She's just being a snoop. Usually I'm just like, you gotta be real careful when you do stuff like that. Because, again, all it takes for somebody to catch you snooping, and there you go. So the scene shifts, and the governor is in his house, and you see him brushing some little girl's head. And right then and there, I knew that, the little girl was a walker, and, I knew it was his daughter. Didn't surprise me at all. She's a walker. He's trying to treat her like she's a regular person. Don't know why. Cuckoo. So, he's got her strained, I guess, in some sort of makeshift stray jacket, puts a bag over her face, typical stuff. It's a little creepy, to be honest with you. So essentially, like I said, towards the end of that, Michonne walks up and sees, I guess the ruckus or whatever's being going on. And she pretty much just, I guess she just makes a mental note of it. Then, later on they're having a party. And during this party, she decides to sneak into the governor's house and try to snoop around. Gets her sword back, finds this book with all these names written in it. And at the end of the page, it says Penny. And then after Penny, it's just all these little scrabble. So I'm assuming what I extrapolated from that was that even after she turned, he still tried to educate her back to normal. And from doing that, all she did after writing Penny when she was alive was able to do the scrabble, scratchy. She's still a zombie. So I think that's what he's been doing, is trying to re-educate her, to try to make her as normal as possible, even though she's a freaking zombie. Not gonna work, buddy. Back on the prison, and Rick and the gang. That's where the situation gets a little dicey. Things are very confusing right now on the prison, and this is where my confusion for this episode comes in. Of course, the baby's born. Rick immediately is like in a catatonic state. He's going crazy, doesn't know what the hell's going on. Luckily the rest of the gang is in, they got their shit together. And they immediately realize, what is this baby gonna eat? So, they decide to go ahead and make a run to go try to find some formula. So, they go run off to go get formula. Rick goes crazy and runs off to do something. He grabs an axe and then just runs back into the prison. Now, when he did that, I assumed that he was probably just gonna, I don't know, go look for Lori's body. Or, but I guess he went to go kill a bunch of zombies. That's exactly what he did. He went on a rage and, went to go kill zombies. And even Glenn tried to go in later on and try to talk him down. That wasn't happening. Rick choked him up. Gave him the crazy eyes. He gave him the crazy eyes or whatever. And, he just was like, all right, you want to go crazy? Go crazy, motherfucker. Now, this is where the confusion sets in. So Glenn is outside digging 3. Count them, 3. Do it together, hand. 3 graves. One is clear for T-Dog. R.I.P. T-Dog. Your black counterpart replaced you. He's digging a hole. The other one was for Lori. We know these 2 were dead. And I'm assuming the third one was supposed to be for Sophia's mom. Carol? Yeah, Carol. Carol's body was never found. So I was confused as to why they were digging 3 graves when they didn't have 3 bodies. And yeah, that kind of confused me. So Then we go to Rick, who stumbles into that room where Lori was killed, and we know that's the room because the knife that was used to cut her open and her entrails are all in there. So we know that's the room. But Lori's body is not there. Interesting. Now, the reason that disturbs me, because again, if you look at my last video, I said I have an issue with people being killed off screen. It disturbs me. The reason that I say that, now I got a theory. Now I have a theory, and this theory may prove true, and I may blow the whole lid off this mother sucker. But just hear me out. So he finds the bullet casing that I guess the son supposedly used to kill the mom. And then there's a walker, and Rick decides to walk up to that walker and shoot it in the head, and then decided to take out his knife and stab the belly area. Now, a lot of people may seem confused about that. Now, what I think happened there is just him thinking about Lori dying because of this baby, and him not even know if this baby is his, and thinking that this baby is the root of all these issues, took out his frustration and anger on the womb of that zombie, probably thinking that it's his own kid or Shane's. We don't know. But, just him symbolically stabbing it is probably just, a sign from him that he ain't gonna like that baby very much. I'm just saying. You just watch. Now, back to this whole Lori thing. Now, to go back out later on, and you see the 3 graves, and, they're praying at the grave, I guess they're trying to, trying to say his goodbye. Daryl saying his goodbye. But there can't be a body in there because, and number one, the only body that should be physically in the ground is T-Dog's. Because I was thinking to myself, well, maybe they went to go get Lori's body and she's buried there too. But then I was like, no, they couldn't have gotten Lori's body because Rick immediately went there after she supposedly died. So there's no way they went in there and grabbed her body without us seeing it or him seeing them, whatever the case may be. So there's something real fishy there because, again, you see bodies in the ground, you see, but you don't know if anything's been buried there. And again, like I said, Lori's body was never shown to have been picked up. It was missing, but then it wasn't picked up. So who picked up the body? Or did she die at all? Now, here's my theory. Now, let me know if I'm going crazy or not. Carol's missing. Lori is missing, presumably dead. What if, this might be crazy, what if Carol somehow came in, found Lori still alive, dragged her off, and they're together right now, and maybe she didn't, but I don't know. Again, it seems far-fetched because I think they actually did an interview with the woman that plays the role, and she confirmed that she was dead, and she talked about how she wished her character could have fixed things between Rick and the boy. But then again, that could easily be something that they just did to kind of throw everybody off, because it doesn't make sense. Like, how is Rick there where the body was and no one moved it without him seeing? It doesn't make any sense. And where the hell is Carol? Because we clearly saw her get out of the building. She didn't die. So, her body's not buried there. I know that for a fact. And even more to confirm that is the fact that in the previews for the next episode, they even show something about, wait a minute, isn't that Carol's knife? So maybe there's some epiphany that she's still alive. And then the next question would be, where the hell were you this entire time? It's at least been about 24, 48 hours, and the door you got out couldn't have possibly led you somewhere like that crazy where you couldn't get back to the group or at least scream for help or something. You're going to tell me that you've been wandering around this prison for 24 hours, not knowing where the hell you're going and afraid to go back? That's a little shaky for me. So again, there's just a bunch of questions when it comes to the whole prison situation. We'll just have to wait till next week to see about that. I'm going to jump back over to the whole governor's thing because, again, like I said, Mishawn has become increasingly suspicious. She's walking around still. She finds walkers being held captive, And I kind of figured something was going on because the way that the governor was talking to Merle, you know, they were talking about, oh, you know, we're going to use them for tonight's entertainment, blah, blah, blah. I knew there had to be something going on with these zombies. I knew it. I just didn't know what they were going to do, but I knew there was something going on that they're going to utilize the zombies on. I thought they were going to probably do some sort of hunt or maybe, you know, tracking, something like that. I did not see gladiatorial battle with zombies. That was not in one of the things that I thought in my head. But that's essentially what was going on. They had zombies, you know, pitted, you know, around this little ring area, and they had Merle and the other guy fighting in between them with the zombies at the end trying to bite them. But, you know, the teeth were removed, so there was no real fear of them getting bit anyway, or so we think. I don't know if a zombie scratch can do it, but who knows. Of course, Michonne ends up deciding to leave, and it looked like she was going to be hesitant that they were going to let her leave. But I think because, you know, she was with her friend, you know, oh my God. I don't know why. I'm sorry, people. I can't remember this chick's name to save my life. The chick that was with Michonne, she decides to stay, and Michonne decides to leave, and she walks off. And later on, I think the chick that's with the governor, she finally starts to get a glimmer of what Michonne was talking about. So, you know, we kind of ended there where she wasn't appreciative. And that's what I didn't understand. When you want to introduce something like that to somebody, especially a female, you might want to warn them. You know what I mean? You know, you might just want to say, hey, by the way, tonight's entertainment is WrestleMania with zombies. Just wanted to let you know. Or something. That's almost, you know, I could take it there, but I'm not going to take it there. I had a really, really bad, no, I'm just going to leave it go. Just in the whole, I think the episode out of a 10, I'm going to give it a 7.5, maybe an 8. A very good episode overall. Just a few questions. I mean, like I said, the zombie kills were fantastic. The only thing, like I said, I wish would have been explained better what is going on at the prison with Rick. You know, where are these bodies? Is this supposed to be there because it's a mystery? Like, is Lori confirmed dead? Is she not supposed to be dead? Is this supposed to be some sort of ambiguity or, you know, innuendo, whatever the case may be? I know I may be using the wrong word, but you know what I'm talking about. So, now it's, you know, my turn to let's see what you guys think. You know how this works. Comment in the section below. Rate, comment, and subscribe. And, oh, by the way, I have reached that landmark 300 plus subscribers. I do thank you all so very much, and look out for the thank you video with the people who took me to that 300 point. I'll be doing a special video for that. Plus, I'll be updating you guys with some more news that has recently occurred, but I didn't want to really talk about it tonight. This is all about The Walking Dead. We'll save that other stuff for later. This is Showing Off the King, the one and only, here to bring you another fantastic review. Have a great night.